It's Wall Street Weekly, where we check the charts and check the Wall Street Weekly, where we check the building, show us how money's flowing. Weekly update, I don't sleep, I scheme, got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the market, eyes on the green. Got my hands in the Yo, it's Wall Street Weekly, where we check the charts and check the suits. BC PortCorp in the building. Let's talk money, power in the game. They don't want you with. Weekly update. I don't sleep, I scheme. Got my hand in the markets, eyes on the green. Options to equity, bonds to the tech scene. Turn bear traps to bread. That's a PortCorp dream. Street charts and shark suits. I move like a dawn. Make the bell ring early just to prove I'm on. This ain't no newsletter. It's war on a beat. Wall Street Weekly, where the wolves don't sleep. I don't trade feelings, I trade formations. Got breakouts time like Fed rate statements. Puts in position when the yield curves flip. Take gains from the top, never die with the dip. I seen bulls get reckless, bears get crushed. Retail hype turn legends to dust. So I read the tape like scripture at dawn. With a watch list colder than a hedge fund pawn. The CNBC, nah, this is street taught. No blue blood trust, just what grit brought. We don't pray for the pump, we prepare for the play. I front run fate every earnings day. Weekly update, I don't sleep, I scheme. Got my hand in the markets, eyes on the green. Options to equity, bonds to the tech scene. Turn bear traps to bread, that's a PortCorp dream. Street charts and shark suits, I move like a dawn. Make the bell ring early just to prove I'm on. This ain't no newsletter, it's war on a beat. Wall Street Weekly, where the wolves don't sleep. Stock split profit, I'm a scalping beast. My calls eat good while they beg for a piece. Inflation print, I decode that live. Cause CPI lies don't keep me deprived. Dot plot hawkish, I pivot and slide. Ride momentum waves like I'm surfing tide. Jerome make a move, I'm 2 steps ahead. I hedge like a ghost while they begging the Fed. This for the ones who don't flinch in the red. Who read Powell's tone like it's Morse code said. The game ain't fair, but my mind got wealth. And Wall Street Weekly is the cheat code itself. From the pits to the screens, I done seen it all. Ticker by ticker, I watch them rise then fall. But I rise like rates in a hawkish minute. While they play checkers, I run the whole clinic. Fed talk, got them guessing, I just chart in silence. This that grit from the grind, not Ivy compliance. I'm the trader your fund manager warned you about. I teach you how to move when the weak tap out. Weekly update, I don't sleep, I scheme. Got my hand in the markets, eyes on the green. Options to equity, bonds to the tech scene. Turn bear traps to bread, that's a PortCorp dream. Street charts and shark suits, I move like a dawn. Make the bell ring early just to prove I'm on. This ain't no newsletter, it's war on a beat. Wall Street Weekly, where the wolves don't sleep. So check the levels, check the vibe, check the ticker before the ticker checks you. Welcome to Wall Street Weekly, and welcome to the other side of the market. This is Wall Street Weekly with BC PortCorp. Listen deeply, charts bleed reality. Green mixed with red, every ticker got a story, every dollar got a thread. Profits speak softly, losses scream loud. Bull markets whisper but the bears roar proud. Investing's more than digits, it's decoding minds. Patterns in the chaos, treasures you can find. Eyes wide open, stay sharp and precise. Cause easy money's myth, truth comes with a price. Watch the money flow, truth hidden in disguise. Risk what you you know wealth favors the wise. If you ain't thinking deeper, then your pockets leak weekly. Get your mind right. Get your mind right. Tune in to Wall Street Weekly. With PortCorp, we making sense of the madness. Truth in the numbers, clarity from the vastness.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wall Street Weekly, where we dive into some TradFi markets and see what's going on. I've got several news articles to talk about. I saw some big news coming out of Google that also touches on the crypto markets, so we'll dive a little bit into that. I saw a lot of news coming out of the bond markets, a big slide to the upside for the UK and the US as well. Seeing some things out of France. I know Army Piper talked about it. I was going to talk about it this morning, but I just couldn't get out of bed. I had way too much fun this past weekend. I spent 3 days on a boat, and coming back, I could not get up at all. Let me know the time and I will jump in with you. Most definitely, that'll probably be like 4 o'clock our time, Army Piper. So if you're not a member of the Piper Academy Discord, you definitely should be. We do one-on-ones with y'all. We make sure that you get all the information that we can possibly give you. So definitely going to be doing a little session tonight in our Discord, teaching a little bit about some basics. Let's see who else we got in the chat, and then we'll dive into some of what we're seeing on these markets. We've got Dutchy in here saying pineapple does not go on pizza. Well, I heavily disagree with that, and we'll see what the chat thinks. We'll start a little bit of poll. We'll start a poll. Pineapple on pizza. Yes or no? And we'll see what everyone thinks. Start that poll. All right. Let me know what you think. We got Dylan VA in here. Good afternoon to you. We got Army Piper in here. Thanks for tuning on in. Let's see. We got Lunar Beaches Crypto in here. If you got those emojis, throw those waves in the chat for me. We've got Gandhi G. Good afternoon to you. Let's see who else we got. Rashad in here. I am glad that you showed up. I've been seeing you in the chats all over again. I was kind of concerned for a little while, but I'm glad you've made it back. We've got Melissa in here as well. Good afternoon to you. Anyone else? Not seeing anyone else. So let's dive on in to what I was looking at. We've got a little bit of a market update to go over first. So let's see what we've got. There's quite a bit of red this afternoon. Started off quite red this morning and has just continued to see that sell-off all throughout the day. People are hoping for a little bit of a Trump pump this afternoon, but I don't think we're going to get that. He was apparently talking about moving the U.S. Space Command to Alabama, so I don't think that gives us too much of a pump. But we'll see. We've got Apple sitting down 1.54%, Nvidia sitting down 2.5%. We got Berkshire Hathaway sitting down 0.75%, Amazon sitting down 1.55%, Eli Lilly seeing a little bit of green, up 0.14%. We've got ExxonMobil sitting up 0.11, Tesla sitting in the red, down 1.42%, P&G looking pretty decent, up 0.55%. We've got the tech sector also getting hit pretty hard. Microsoft down 0.68, Google down 1.17, and Meta sitting down 0.74. Not too unexpected after we did see that bond market completely sliding to the upside. I say slide to the upside. That means that there was quite a bit of sell-off on the bonds, raising those rates, and that's that first little news article I really wanted to touch on today. So hopping over here, that global market rout pushes UK 30-year gilt yields to 27-year high of 5.69%. And that's very, very quickly approaching that 6% mark and looking quite worrisome for them. A worldwide bond market sell-off has sent government borrowing costs soaring, with the United Kingdom at the epicenter of the storm. On September 2nd, the UK 30-year gilt yields surpassed 5.69%, marking the highest level since 1998 and intensifying pressures on the Labour government's fiscal plans. The global bond market rout, driven by fears of persistent inflation, rising debt levels, and uncertainty over U.S. policies, and President Donald Trump is raising borrowing costs across major economies, threatening economic stability and challenging policymakers worldwide. For the UK, the spike in the yields signals a precarious moment as Chancellor Rachel Reeves grapples with looming budget crises. And if you've been watching Good Morning Crypto for any length of time, we've talked about them cutting rates while inflation was rising. They were ahead of us in the rate cutting cycle. They did have a little bit of a pause, kind of like we've been sitting in for quite a while. But then they started cutting rates again. And I did bring up the concerns that this raised with the inflation pressures and their job market also being just as weak as the United States, at what that would do to their dollar. And you've absolutely seen the UK's dollar being demolished against the euro. So we'll take a look at that chart in just a second, but you can kind of see here's a post by the Kabisi letter that really highlighted a lot of these problems as well. They really highlighted the 30-year bond up at that 5.68% rate, back to levels that they haven't seen since 1998. Quite a massive move towards the upside when they were sitting at absolute lows and were slowly in that uptrend until they just blasted off. And quite the big sell-off has come on top of that, continuing to see the sell-off of those bonds. Most people don't realize how bad the fiscal picture is for the UK. Spending is set to cross 60% of GDP compared to 53% during the pandemic. Meanwhile, the revenue of percentage of GDP is set to drift slightly lower, below 40%. This is the UK government's own forecast. As a result, the UK is facing a mountain of national debt. By 2073, the UK's debt is on course to be 274% of GDP. This would imply a deficit running at a massive 21% of GDP. Meanwhile, the inflation is back on the rise, and it is rising sharply. CPI inflation for the UK hit 3.8% in July, with expectations of 4+% coming in August. This puts inflation at double the level that the Bank of England is targeting. Even as the deficit spending soars and inflation rebounds, the Bank of England is cutting interest rates now down to 4%. Why? The Bank of England is calling some of its inflation drivers transitory. But in reality, economic growth has become so weak that the UK has no other option. And it's kind of some of the same worries that we're seeing here in America, where your economy's at a little bit of a turning point where you could really see those inflation pressures drive back up. It's not with quickness. It is a little bit slow inflation pressures raising their head. You're seeing your jobs market become a little bit weaker, but there's not the money that is really needed to keep driving these things. And since COVID, you've seen the massive increase of debt really holding up our economy. And when that kind of comes crashing down, we're going to be in a very sticky situation. And it's not just here, it's a lot of your Western countries. Countries like the UK, most of the European Union. You have Canada also at extremely bad levels. People talk about our debt percentages to GDP. Canada is sitting directly underneath us. We're at like 121%. They're at 110%. Most of your Western countries have subscribed to a theory of economics that absolutely does not work. And you can blame John Maynard Keynes for that. They say that the debt doesn't matter. You can just print your way out of it. You can devalue the dollar because at the end of the day, you're going to be dead. And your children will keep the ball rolling. You print more dollars, you devalue the dollar, and you pay off the debt, and then you accrue more debt. And the cycle just doesn't work. You see massive crashes because of it. One little problem, and everyone gets wiped out. And if you've been listening to the Piper Academy, we've talked about this several times, and you're kind of starting to see more and more and more of these signals start flashing, and we will continue to highlight them as they come along. The U.S. was no different this morning. That Treasury yield jumped to almost 5% today, and not looking very good going forward, as that whole bond market has really had that strong sell-off and the slide to the upside. Wasn't going to dive too much further into that, but it's not just here. You have Germany also hitting those. The French bonds are also extremely high as well, and it's all of these Western countries. But let's hop into some more positive news, because we can be doom and gloom, but there's also positive things going on in the market. You mean World Economics saying Western countries are the only ones struggling is just Chinese and Russian propaganda? It's mostly Western countries. China does have some debt problems, but it's nothing as drastic as the U.S. has been. Theirs is at about 80%. They're also working extremely hard to kind of get into a different position with the U.S. So they're trying their hardest to really devalue some of our dollar. They've been a very big proponent of Bitcoin because of that. Not that that wouldn't devalue their currency as well, but some countries do things a little bit better. You also have places like your eastern side of the UK, the European Union, where like Switzerland does pretty decent with some debt. You have Luxembourg, also a decent country that handles their debt proportions extremely well and doesn't just devalue their dollar to pay off the debt, but then you're still stuck in that same cycle. So it's not everywhere, but it is those very big Western countries that have really slidden down this debt hole. They took John Maynard Keynes at his word and were like, oh, well, if it doesn't matter, then screw it all. And we're going to see the piper get paid. It's going to happen. We're going to see very, very big problems coming our way. The real question is when. Those warning signs keep flashing, and eventually it's all going to come down. But we'll get there eventually. We will keep giving you all the signs as they flash. But Google unveiling a layer 1 chain for banks with Python's smart-based contracts. Get that out of there. Google is expanding its presence in the blockchain space with Google Cloud Universal Ledger, or GCUL, which it pitches as a layer 1 network with focus on financial institutions. On Wednesday's LinkedIn post, Rich Windman, head of strategy for Web3 at Google, framed GCUL as a way to avoid the conflicts that might arise with blockchain backed by competitors. Tether won't use Circle's blockchain, and IDEN won't use Stripe's blockchain, but any financial institution can build with GCUL, he wrote in the post. According to Wyndham, Universal Ledger brings together years of R&D at Google to provide financial institutions with a novel layer 1 that will perform it credibility neutral and enables Python-based smart contracts, although he didn't clarify whether the network itself will also run on Python. So, a new blockchain that'll make these bigger institutions a little bit easier for them to use, especially with being able to use cross-platform with other blockchains as well. You did have that highlight where it is a little bit hard for them to subscribe to just one of these blockchains. They really need to be able to use all of these and be able to communicate across all sorts of borders, across all sorts of networks, and Google is stepping into the ring to really meet that need. I knew this would come eventually. I knew these tech companies would step into the blockchain space. I believe we will be seeing more and more of this coming forward. Google is just that first big name. I do think you see other companies really step into the ring, like Microsoft. Apple might do the same thing. A lot of these gaming companies, everyone wants crypto gaming. I don't think any of the blockchains that are around now are really going to be the ones that do that. I think these companies will come out with their own blockchain so that they don't have to worry. They've got Google has expendable money, has expendable people, and they can take the time and the money to throw at all these problems and fix them a whole lot quicker than a smaller company can, especially one that's not really using a language that's compatible with everyone. So we'll kind of have to see how this goes going forward. Definitely wanted to share that. We also have this. IBM and AMD tag team a hybrid classical quantum supercomputer. As talked about a decade ago in the wake of launching the next platform quantum computers, at least the fault-tolerant ones being built by IBM, Google, and Rigetti, and a few others, need massive amounts of traditional von Neumann compute to help maintain their state and assist with qubit error corrections and assist with computations. Moreover, the quantum computers require FPGAs equipped with RF modulators to hit the qubits with microwave pulses that help keep them decohering for long enough for them to be computationally useful. Basically, you need a very extremely controlled environment. These computers run highly technical programs, but they're also extremely big. Think of like computers back when they first came around, it would take up a whole room. Google and IBM have new quantum computers that are taking up a whole room, and they notice that it has to be kept at extremely low temps, especially if you're using atoms to perform some of these, which some of them are. Light is another big one, but if you have the smallest movement, a car driving on a road outside of your controlled room can really make a shift in that. So they're trying to pair with AMD and NVIDIA eventually to make new high-end CPUs that will allow them to make not a straight quantum computer, but kind of a mesh of a quantum computer and your traditional computer. So definitely looking forward to this. Quantum is that next giant leap forward, and this partnership was just announced. So I did see Caliphant bought some AMD. Might have been at the right time. We'll take a look at that chart a little bit later. Steve Hickey said pineapple carried over here. Lol. It most definitely did. And apparently 70% of people disagree with me and 30% of people agree with me. So pineapple, I say, goes on pizza, but 70% of you say no. Nice to know. But let's see what else we got in here. Point is, it's a global economy. If we hurt, China hurts. In certain sectors like high-tech machinery, instruments, and semiconductors, China remains significantly reliant on Western sources. We're also the buyer of those goods for them. Yes, it is a very global market, but not all of these countries really want that global market as global as it is. But I know China has got their got a very big economy where a lot of our goods wouldn't even be manufactured if we didn't have China, because our people don't want to do those jobs. China has really built up the resources to be able to handle a lot of that. Like, you can't make a lithium battery if that lithium doesn't go to China. They hold, I believe it's like 92% of the processing plants for lithium to be made into batteries. So kind of a monopoly there. Let's see what else. Green chilies on pizza with mushroom and pepperoni. Oh my goodness. You lost me at mushrooms. I can't do those. This is a texture thing. But to each their own, you know? As long as you're not doing something cray-cray with some pizza, pizza is pizza. I guess BC and I are going to Hawaii without y'all. Hey, I've got a Hawaii trip planned, not this coming year, but the year after. Me and the girl are planning something big there. So I've always wanted to go, but JR, you're not invited on that trip. We'll have to do something else. Let's see. Thanks for showing up, All Set. Mad love. Yep, I saw All Set sliding in here as well. Good afternoon to you. So Python Rust. I believe they're going with just Python. Oh no, another block dag. Yeah, but you know, Google has a very credible name behind it, which lends it some strength in the space. Would you want to pair with Link, or would you want to pair with Google if you're a bank? So I feel like Google might beat that one out. Would you want to pair with XRP, or would you want to pair with Google, who has all of this security behind them? They've got their name in the space. They've got all the money to throw at all your problems. They've got the people to throw at all your problems as well. You actually have someone that you can talk to if there's an issue. It lends them some credibility. So we'll just kind of have to see how that one plays out. But as soon as I can, definitely loading up a little bag of Google's blockchain. Let's see. Steve Hickey saying, oh, yeah, the pineapple carried over here. Let's see. Anything else? All right. We will dive into some of these charts here. I had been taking a look at some of these indices before. You know, we like to start off our Wall Street Weekly show looking at some of these indices. We have been seeing that move back down that we had talked about, holding that CME gap quite nicely. We did get that strong rejection off of 21,771 for the NASDAQ. Got a little bounce off of the midline of that CME gap, and they've pushed back up and then immediately dropped back down. We're now sitting directly on top of that CME gap. CME gap starts at 21,121. We're about $100 above that right now. We do have another CME gap directly above us. I would look at potentially filling on that higher term time frame. Let's get to that daily chart here. You can kind of see it a little bit better. You have cooled off that MACD with this nice sideways momentum here. Your prime oscillator also getting some cool off as well. As we've moved sideways on top of this CME gap, you can see that money flow still sitting nice and green here. Your volume is a little bit low, so we'll just kind of have to wait and see if we can hold this CME gap, really get that continued cool off with some sideways momentum underneath our all-time high here before we try to make that push back up towards it. Let's see what that shorter term time frame was looking like. Here's that hourly for you with that nice curvature and that potential pump back up into our CME gap to really fill that. I would look for that to be filled, and then we'll kind of have to see what more sideways momentum we really get here. That MACD is getting the curvature, prime oscillator is getting that curvature, and money flow is slowly getting to that point where it's not flowing out anymore. So we'll watch that quite closely. CME gap directly above us coming in at 21,267, and the top side coming in at 21,451. So a little bit of a gap directly towards the upside for us to fill on the NASDAQ. Not any different here on the S&P 500. A very big gap to fill here. We did lose the CME gap that we were looking to hold as some support. We'll get that out of there. And this 382 here looks, or 236 here looks like our very strong support area. If we do lose that though, there is a very big CME gap directly below that as well. That actually has been filled. Let me color that black so we know it's filled. There's that CME gap directly to the bottom side of us that we could end up retesting as well. Taking a look directly above us, there is that CME gap for the S&P 500 here as well. So a little bit of a move towards the upside to fill the gap, and then we'll kind of have to see if we make our way back down, really cool off those higher time oscillators. Taking a look here at the daily after making those all-time highs, really moving sideways on top of that 236. You can see that MACD's been getting a little bit of some cool off here once that prime oscillator loads there. Yep, getting some nice cool off there as well. Money flow still sitting in the green here on the higher term time frame. Shorter term time frame was sitting in some red outflows, and we'll kind of have to see if we can get that nice continued sideways momentum here for a little while before we get that push back towards the upside. Let's zoom that back on in to the shorter term time frame. Take a look at where that gap is starting for us, sitting at $6,400 for the bottom side, top side coming in at 6,455. So a very decent gap directly above us to kind of fill before we can see where price is going to go. I would kind of lean towards a little more downside, holding that 236 as our strong support, coming in at 6,358 as we try to cool off those higher time frame oscillators before we try to make another run up at an all-time high there. Let's see what we got going on in the chat. Melissa says she's working and lurking. Well, what you doing there? Oh, getting some yard work done. So staying extra busy, getting some sun in while you can. We've been we haven't been having the weather to keep up with that. All of our grass is pretty much fried here. So not a whole lot of yard work to do, but definitely missing it. Let's see, Mrs. Beaches is doing well, getting some Braxton Hicks contractions, but is in bed rest for the last week. Everything is good, just more housework for me. Well, I'm glad to hear that she's doing a fine, LBC. I bet you're ready for the baby, but not as ready as she is. So I hope to see all of the pictures as soon as y'all are ready and home with the baby, and new mini LBC in the house. Let's see what else we got here. The first, no, let's see. Nothing else there. All right. Y'all still having that pineapple on pizza argument. Goodness. Let's see what else we got. We got the Dow Jones making some moves to the downside as well. We've got a nice little gap, but it is maintaining the top side of our fib a little bit better here. So as you can see, it is retesting those old all-time highs. Let's get that to the daily time frame. There we go. really retested those old all-time highs, held that extremely nicely here, and we're waiting to see if we can get a little bit of some cool off with some of that sideways momentum here. MACD is a little bit at that point where you could see that curvature and crossing our indicator line here. That prime oscillator also getting that curvature, just flipped to the red here, but I would wait to see if we hold that 45,066. That is that old all-time high, and it is looking like it is a little bit weak with that dip below it, but it did get immediate buying pressure as soon as it kind of hit that last all-time high. So waiting to see if we get a little bit of sideways momentum, really cool off that higher time frame oscillator, like those other oscillators we're looking on our other indices. We do have a price holding up quite nicely on top of that old all-time high, and we're waiting to see if we can get this gap filled hourly with that nice curvature back towards the upside here and on the prime oscillator as well. After some clipping out, we do have that gap starting at 45,538 for the top side, and coming in at our current price right now at 45,230. So we're making that move back into our CME gap right now, and we'll kind of have to see if we can get that closed out, continue a little bit of that sideways momentum, and really cool off that higher time frame. Let's see, baby wave. Oh, I'll throw some waves in the chat for you. Let's see, anything else there? Do we got any assets anyone would like me to take a look at? I did have a few things I wanted to take a look at as well. We had gold making those new all-time highs, blasted through our last resistance area, which was that old all-time high. We had this resistance area as well that was completely blasted through. This was a very strong resistance area we had talked about for quite a while. We made that move directly through it, got that nice little bounce off of it, and then continued up to make a new all-time high here. I do have a fib extension drawn out from a yearly. So let me get this zoomed on out so we can take a look at the weekly here so we can get that better view here. We got some nice sideways consolidating price action, got that move to an all-time high, and I am looking for that to potentially come up to $3,750. That's that 1618 on our fib extensions here, and after that nice little sideways consolidation, you're seeing that breaking towards the upside. Let's look at this one over here. You can kind of see we got a very similar price action. Got that bounce off of our platinum pocket, made that new all-time high, consolidated very sideways for a little while, and then it broke out to make all-time highs, and we're kind of looking for that potentially to do the same thing here. Let's get this move from our highs to that high up here. Nice little 25% move towards the upside. If you go same kind of thing over here, got that move from our all-time highs, making a 7% move towards the upside for that 1618, so not even close. You get that to that 25%, and that's getting kind of close to a target I had talked about with LBC when we were talking about gold, that 4,200 area. That's that real upside target I was kind of looking for some gold. It's a little bit of a measured move as well. Comes out from this nice little flag in action here where you got this break up, flag out, and then breaking towards the upside. Could look for that nice 3,700 to about 4,200 for a little bit of some topping action there. I would look for a little bit of some hesitation at 3,000, that 3,700, but that ultimate target for me is coming up at $4,200. Let me take a look at a few of these other stocks I've been looking at. BC, what's your thoughts on data tomorrow? Well, we can hop over to that data here in a second. I wanted to take a look at a few of these charts that we haven't gotten a chance to look at in a little bit. Here's that circle chart. I don't know where all my lines went. That's Oh, that's why. Here we go. Here's that circle chart. Have everything consolidated out into their own little section. So here we go. Circle, making that nice drop back down to our 236 here on our fib extensions. It has found this line as resistance after it dropped below it. Really waiting to see what happens here at this price point. We've got this nice 236 at $120. I have stopped buying circle again. This was a nice little zone that I was buying at under the golden pocket. Was looking for that 382 to really hold, and I have stopped my buying process again. Really waiting to see if we drop a little bit lower here. Daily time frame just really starting to get some data here, but that MACD line sitting below our indicator line looking like it's getting a little bit of some sideways momentum here. Waiting to see if we can get that break back above it. Prime oscillator sitting in the green, but that money flow's really still sitting in the red here on the daily, and we'll kind of have to see if it continues down a little bit lower, come back down to a CME gap. I thought I had it drawn out, but I guess I didn't. Let's get that drawn out for you real quick. We got a CME gap down here that we could look to fill. Let's get that colored in because it is not filled, sitting all the way at $96.24 for the top side and $83.68 for the bottom side. So that'd be another area I would potentially look at buying if we don't hold that 236 and we really get that strong continued sell-off there. This has been in a downtrend for quite a while now. Not too unexpected to continue to see people continue to sell off, as it started out way down here and the $32 range. The data doesn't really even come from that when you're looking at that. Let's see, from 32, if it'd get there, let's zoom it on in. 32, nope, zoomed it in too far. All right, let's get that from 32. 31. Oh, there we go. Close enough there. And let's get that retracement drawn out to the all-time high. Did get that nice rejection off of the 1618 on the fib extension there. We've got that platinum pocket coming in at my next buy zone. That runs right in the middle of that CME gap as well. So a nice area to really watch for, coming in at that 92 to that 82 to $96 range. Zooming on in to that 1 hour, you can see that 1 hour's really seeing a little bit of some curvature here, but we are sitting directly underneath that golden pocket. That is going to be a little bit of an area to watch for some resistance, as that resistance line is also running through there as well. So definitely looking for a little bit of some resistance directly above us, especially with how that higher time frame was looking. That 1 hour getting a little bit of some curvature there, but that 15-minute seeing that kind of run a little sideways there. So definitely looking like you could continue to see that downtrend coming our way on circle. I had another one that people have been talking about for quite a while. We had that unlock period head happen for CoreWeave. CoreWeave saw some very strong sell-off all the way down to our golden pocket, which it looks like it's trying to hold quite nicely here. Let's get this zoomed on out. Take a look at that daily time frame. There we go. We got that golden pocket looking to try to come in as some support here. We are seeing a little bit of some sideways momentum here on that prime oscillator and the MACD. Money flow starting to slow up on that sell-off now. As you can see here, it has made its way back towards that zero line. Really waiting to see if we hold that golden pocket as some support. I do have an area below that. If we don't hold that, coming in at $76.21, that I would potentially look to do a little buying at if that golden pocket isn't held. CoreWeave, very strong asset. Did get a lot of hopium behind it as well. A lot of what continued its price movement towards the upside was that anyone that IPO'd in was in a lock period for 6 months, and that lock period has ended. You did see a lot of sell-off happening on that, and we're really waiting to see that next buying opportunity head our way. My $10 circle is done bad. Yeah. Apparently you weren't watching the show. We gave the buying opportunities, and they got smashed on and then dropped lower on. And so that's why I thought I would talk about that next buying opportunity, because I do think Circle is still a good asset if you're going to invest in it. That is not my thoughts on the company. I absolutely hate the Circle company and everything they stand for. But if you're going to make me money, I will put my money with you. So definitely a decent investment. I do think there's some more buying opportunities heading its way. Especially since it has seen that nice strong retracement. It is coming back down towards that platinum pocket, which would be a nice area to really pick some up at. I sold my Circle at 233. Wasn't that a level we had talked about? Let's get back over to that. 233. That was up there at that 236. And then I don't know if you did any more buying, Alexandra G, but that golden pocket was that next real area I was watching for. And now we're looking for that platinum pocket. So just trying to lower some entries. I wasn't expecting it to really continue with that sell-off. It has stayed below that resistance line. Looking like some more decent buying opportunities heading our way. Let's see. We had a few others to really take a look at here. AMD, we talked about that in the news article. You can kind of see here it has been making some decent sideways consolidations on the macro here. It has found a very nice, I don't know why when I draw on my tablet it doesn't get that over to the PC here, but we've got a nice strong support area below us. Let's get that fib extension drawn out as well, because we've never been here before. It has made some new all-time highs. You get that push up, your drop back down, and we saw that golden pocket come in as some resistance. We are looking to potentially hold this 382 below us. We've gotten a lot of play off of it when we got above there. A nice little play off of it there as well before we really dropped back down and made this low that I pulled that off of. Waiting to see if we hold that 236 coming in at 143.91. This is a very good company. They make very good computer parts, and I don't think they're going anywhere in the long term. So definitely just looking for some more buying opportunities. I do hold this stock. It has performed very well for me, and I will continue to do some buying on it because I really don't think they're going anywhere, especially when it's just them and Intel that really makes your decent computer parts. BC, bro, you don't say me. Where are you from? I am in the center of the United States. I stay in Nebraska. A very, very boring state. There's a lot of corn here and not a whole lot to do. So that's why I nerd out. I will be buying more, says Alexandra G. Well, we will probably be buying it together, Alexandra G. I definitely see some more buying opportunities. And even though I don't like the company, Circle made money, and it continues to make money. It is a decent project there. Even though they might not do things in the most crypto-friendly way, there's not really another competitor that you can go with that is going to get the full backing of the U.S. government. I did want to take a look at IBM here as well. We talked about that. We've got a nice big gap directly above us. Let's get that pulled on the weekly here as well. You can kind of see we got that nice strong move outside of our fib extension levels, waiting to really see if we can get that 1618 coming in at $312. Very strong level to the upside. Side note, BC, the center of the US. Yeah. Uh, almost directly center. I would have to go like a mile and a half west to really hit that center of the United States. But yeah, about as central can be. Oh, I guess I bought from Alexander. Yeah, probably LBC. She nailed some of those entries and exits very nicely. Fib dancers here, huh? Yeah. I'm a fib dancer and a gap filler. So that's what we do here. We fill those gaps and we trade off of those fib levels. So let's get this pulled back to the daily here. You can see that daily is starting to look a little bit toppy for IBM. Not too unexpected after an all-time high. We are waiting to see if we can get back down to 226 here. That is that top side of our fib extensions level. That would really cool off these oscillators a little bit more. Money flow is sitting a little bit in the red here on the daily, but nothing too extreme. Let's get this to the hourly. This hourly has been cooling off quite nicely here. Get that zoomed in a little bit better. There you go. Cooling off quite nicely with this sideways momentum. You did get that MACD line dropping below zero, but it is getting that nice strong curvature back towards the upside here. Prime oscillator also doing the same as we have that green money flow finally coming back in on IBM. We do have a gap directly above us. Let's get that drawn on out for this one. Sitting directly above us, starting at 261 for the bottom side, and that top side coming in at 282. So a nice big gap towards the upside for us to fill and potentially see come in as some resistance that would allow us to really cool off those higher term time frame oscillators a little bit better, and then really gather some strength for that next push back up towards our 1618 and $312. Let's see. It's Dutchy, don't tell them. Let's see. It's just nothing but corn in Nebraska. It's where the term corn-fed comes from. Yeah, a lot of beautiful corn-fed girls. It just is what it is. There's not a whole lot to do here. Yeah, you can drink corn, alcohol, beer, and you can go driving in the country and see a bunch of cornfields. On the positive side, there's also not a lot of bad stuff that happens here because nothing happens here. So we definitely get a lot of drinking and a lot of watching of sports. You know, I never expected to come to Nebraska and have their teams. Their football team isn't amazing, but you know that their games are sold out every single time because there's literally nothing else to do around here. They do a lot of drinking, they watch a lot of sports, and it's pretty peaceful. So I've enjoyed it quite a bit. Let's see. Thick girl says all set. Most definitely. It definitely corn fed, and it's hey, you know that they keep you warm during the winter, and you kind of need that because winters get really cold around here. I think last winter we hit like negative 12 degrees. That's the weather you don't want to leave the house in, and you would definitely want to cuddle up next to a corn-fed girl in. So let's see what else we got here. Whole U.S. said leave Nebraska out. Oh my goodness. Peaceful lifestyle is the best, says Melissa. It most definitely is. Last time he went for groceries, they introduced color TV to the U.S. Oh my goodness. Football, it's handball played by, oh my goodness. I mean, yeah. I prefer like legitimate football, but we're pretty big about football here. So let's see. We got any stock requests anyone would like me to take a look at? Because I just had one other thing I really wanted to touch on, and that was Cantor Equity Partners. Let me find it there. It was in the finance sector. There we go. Cantor Equity Partners. They had a very big partnership in the crypto space, and they started a whole business where they decided they were going to do the Michael Saylor strategy thing. They have a dual business. They paired with Tether. Tether has done extremely well. They buy US treasuries, they get paid out on the interest, and then they turn that around to buy Bitcoin with. They paired with Cantor Equity Partners, and Cantor Equity Partners had a nice, strong run up towards the upside here, and then have slowly seen a little bit of some sell off. We are sitting very, very close to that platinum pocket. I will start doing a little bit of some buying around that platinum pocket. I do have an area to potentially watch out for below that platinum pocket, which is a CME gap from way back here before we got that nice strong push up towards the upside. That top side's coming in at 1898, and the bottom side's coming in at 1692. So a little bit of an area to the downside to potentially watch for as you continue to see that sell off happen after that very strong rejection off of our golden pocket here. We have been in a very nice downtrend since we made those all-time highs on Cantor Equity Partners. Some nice sell-off, getting back to some levels that I'm more interested in since I missed all of the hype back here. Wasn't really a big fan of hopping on the hype train. Really waiting to see after some nice business performance on them. If they get that nice strong move back towards the upside after a strong retracement there. They are doing all right. Their profits have slowed up just a little bit here, but they do still have some income. Their revenue in comparison to their income is negligible, like literally zero. So negligible. Looking like a nice buy if they get back down there. That it is rated as a sell right now, but definitely seeing a little bit of some volatility and some profit taking. Not a bad little place to park some money, not for a long term, but for going into the next kind of Bitcoin cycle here. Don't we all have oval ones? Oval ones? Are you all talking? Oh, footballs. Football is not close to a ball. No, it isn't. They used to be called pigskins because they used to be made out of pig stomachs. I don't know why they changed it to football. So let's see. Football. Let's see. This is a football. You guys play soccer. You're suckers. Soccer is football. Football. There we go. It is football. Same. It's not a different sport. But there's not a lot of good, like, football teams here in America. So, kind of hampers things. Let's see. I didn't see any stock requests, but we did have a question about the economic data that is coming out this week. So let's get on over to that. We did see ISM manufacturing PMI come out this morning. Not unexpectedly, it came out a little bit short of expectations, but came in better than prior. We do have some more data coming out this week. Let's scroll it on down, get down to it. We got that mortgage rate application coming out tomorrow. I would expect that to be a little bit higher, especially with how the bond markets went. Hashtag don't read chat. I didn't read chat on purpose, Dutchy. Yeah. I saw your chat and I knew that I couldn't really read it out. What nerd asked for the analysis? Oh, LBC. Huh. I wonder what nerd that was. I'm pretty sure it was you, if I'm not mistaken. I knew it took me a little while, but I had a few things I really wanted to go over. Scrolling on down a little bit further here, we got a few Fed chairs speaking this week. I would really like to hear what we're going to hear from the Fed chairs, especially with how everyone believes we're going to get that rate cut. Let's get that on up. I've got it in my live stream tools. CME Fed Watch coming in at 91%. Uh, I have my own certain thoughts. I'm not an economist. With the rising inflation pressures that we saw, the hottest PPI print that we've had in literal years, I don't think September is the right time to cut, but we'll kind of have to see how that comes out. We do have JOLTS jobs, which is going to be that real clincher on if we cut or not. It is forecasted to come in a little bit under, but it's still been heading in the wrong direction. Those job quits are going to be what I have my eye on a little bit more, especially since those have been increasing and continue to increase. They're not always necessarily job quits, but they're also people that just can't find those new jobs. So JOLTS job openings potentially coming in a little bit lower. That's what that forecast says. But watch that quite heavily, because that's going to be the data that really clinches whether we get that federal interest rate cut. The jobs data was the big worry for the Fed, and to continue to watch the job market really heat up, people unable to find new jobs or get new jobs, or even those wages really coming back down is a big worry for the Fed. So let's scroll it on down. We got a few more Fed chairs speaking. Scrolling on down a little bit further, let's get to those other data drops. We got those initial jobless claims. This will be coming out on Thursday. This is going to be that other side of our data drops for this week. That's really going to push the federal interest rate decision in one direction or another. Looks like with that forecast, it is another heating up on the initial jobless claims. 2029 for prior, 2030,000 for this time. I see Trade Intuition in here. Glad to see you here. If you know, drop those magnets in the chat. Let's get that magnet chat going. All right. And we do have some other data as well to keep our eye on. ISM Services PMI, another one to really watch for. Looks like it is heating up a little bit more. Definitely not the direction we really want to see things in. Let's scroll it on down a little bit further. We had some more data coming on out for Friday. It's going to be some non-farm payrolls, another heat up on the jobs data. Definitely not what you want to see. Scrolling on down a little bit further, we get that unemployment rate. It is forecasted to be from 4.2% to 4.3%. Not absolutely terrifying, but definitely heading in the wrong direction. And that is the data that the Fed is leaning on this time around for those federal interest rate decisions. They say the inflation pressures aren't overly worrisome, and that the jobs numbers are a little more on their radar. So we'll kind of have to see if these continue to come out a little bit hot, because that's going to be that big push for the Fed to actually cut. That's why I'll be listening to these Fed speeches this week and going forward. Let's get over to the next week. We did have some more data that we would want to watch for. Scrolling on down, that's where we get it. Here we go. We got PPI month over month and core PPI month over month. This is going to be that next real data drop, not this week, but coming out next week, that you will want to keep your eye on. This is that producer side of things. We saw this coming out extremely hot on last month's data drop. To watch it come out hot again might crap all over those federal interest rate hopes. So watch for this week's data on the jobs. Watch for next week's data on PPI. That'll be that real clincher. So let's see if we got anything else that people wanted to talk about. I'm gonna guess Joe ranted about magnets on a chat once. It's not that he ranted about magnets on a chat. It's that he says that there is no part of trading that is a magnet. There's no indicator. There's no like gap. There's no liquidity. None of it's a magnet. Price might come to it, but it is not drawn to it like a magnet. Moving averages are not a magnet. So that's where that one comes from. But it is 3 o'clock and I've been going for an hour. So unless anyone has something they would like me to talk about, I will wind that show on down. Now I will give you a few seconds to see if you got anything you wanted me to talk about, and then we can kind of see money flow volume is a magnet. I mean, it kind of is. I've talked about VWAP being a magnet, but that's just that's just because uh, it is the average price, and everything in life, not just price action, but everything in life moves towards the average. The average is not static. The average moves with the price changes. So to move towards the average and have the average aggregate towards your average price is expected. So it's pretty magnetic. We got one request for Pepe. It's a crypto, but let's take a look at it here. Let's see what we got for some Pepe. All right, here we got a nice little rejection off of that platinum pocket. Old trend line coming in as some resistance. Let's get this zoomed on out. I don't know how long it's been since I've taken a look at some Pepe, but dang, those old trend lines really hold up quite nicely here. It was in a nice little consolidating phase, and it broke towards the downside here. You know what's a magnet for meme coin? Zeros. Yes, I love it. Yes, zeros. Oh, definitely. I'm throwing some zeros in the chat for that one. Zeros. But yeah, that's where I like to see my meme coins back to zero, so that I know my legitimate projects with actual utility and use case are getting some money in them. Uh, oh no, LBC thinks I'm weird. That's because you are, JR. But that's neither here nor there. Let's see what we're looking at for some Pepe dropping below that platinum pocket here. That was coming in at gosh. Why so many zeros that they need a scientific notation for it? So 4 zeros, 1120. That was our little bit of a resistance area at the platinum pocket, dropping below our old support line here. Not looking too good. We do have that daily time frame still breaking towards the downside here. Are getting a little bit of some curvature here on that MACD line, but that prime oscillator still heading a little bit sideways here. As that volume really starts to die off, you do have that bullish divergence, but I would really want to see another one kind of stack up there. Let's see what that weekly was looking like. Okay, yeah, exactly what I was expecting it like. You do have that MACD crossing our indicator line and the zero line at the same time as that prime oscillator sitting heavily in the red. It is just starting to kind of clip on out here, so potential for a little more downside before you see that move back towards the upside. Let's get that horizontal ray drawn out with our equal candle bodies here on the weekly, coming in at 5 zeros 886668. That'd be a little area to watch for some support. Let's zoom that in. Take a look at that 4 hour there. Pretty close to that area there where you could potentially watch for some support. You've got that MACD running a little bit sideways here as it breaks above our indicator line, but remains below that zero line. Your prime oscillator getting a little bit of some curvature back towards the upside, but sitting in the light red. I would expect money flow to be in the red here as well. So really making those lower highs and the lower lows. We do have a little bit of a support line directly below us. Let's get that drawn on out here. We do have a support line directly below us on those candle body closes. You can kind of see it a little bit better there. Let's make it a little bit thinner. We know that shorter time frame trend kind of intersects down here. If we continue with this downtrend of lower highs, we really rejected quite harshly off of our old support line. After we dropped below it, we came back, retested it, and then continued to the downside here. Let's see what we got for this hourly. Hourly seeing some nice sideways ranging, but still making those lower highs. Would really want to see us sweep some liquidity before we get that push back towards the upside. Take it as a win. It means you're not like other people. Oh darn, I'm not normal. I think that's a win. It most definitely is. Bitcoin uses too much energy. Oh goodness, not this one. Well, as I talked about this on a show on Good Morning Crypto, you're seeing nuclear really make those big pushes. So I think we see those nuclear trends really kind of help with Bitcoin. And when it drops those energy costs, you see that nice little aggregate to the downside on your producer side, which will kind of lower some of the bottoming prices a little bit. But you're watching that come in with some institutions. That'll also kind of force your code to get a little more complex there, as more and more people can do it for a little bit cheaper. It'll really force the code to get a little more complex, so that you are mining those blocks about once every 10 minutes. BC, we should have an AI rap battle. Ooh, that sounds fun. We do a little segment on our new show that we got lined up, where we have AI do rap battles against each other. That sounds like a great little segment, but we should make sure that it's like crypto related or investing related, so it's like extra nerdy, and they're like two AI bots that are like rapping about who's the better bot there and at trading. So that's what I got for Pepe. Would look for that nice little sweep towards the downside. We're very close to that support level, and that'd be a nice area to potentially do some buying at. We do have a little bit of some resistance directly to the top side of us. That next real area that I would look for strong resistance is going to be our platinum pocket. 4 zeros, 1120. That's that level to really watch for the upside after we see this hold as some support. All right, that's about all I got for today. I hope to see y'all at the next one. I will be up bright and early for tomorrow's Good Morning Crypto episode. I appreciate you dropping that link in the chat, Alexandra G. Make sure to stay safe, watch for the data, and make sure that you come to Piper Academy for some education, because knowledge is profit. Until then, stay safe and stay smart.
This is Wall Street Weekly with PortCorp. Listen deeply, charts bleed reality. Green mixed with red, every ticker got a story, every dollar got a thread. Profits speak softly, losses scream loud. Bull markets whisper but the bears roar proud. Investing's more than digits, it's decoding minds. Patterns in the chaos, treasures you can find. Eyes wide open, stay sharp and precise, cause easy money's myth, truth comes with a price. Watch the money flow, truth hidden in disguise. Risk what you know, wealth favors the wise. If you ain't thinking deeper, then your pockets leak weekly. Get your mind right.
With BC PortCorp, we're making sense of the madness. Truth in the numbers, clarity from the vastness.